All right, now time for our first guest. This is exciting. She better be good, man. You line this one up.
Good is enemy of great, Craig. This is a great one. So.
Yeah, Alanna Strei, you come out of the real estate space. You served in the Navy, so thank you for your service. We'd love to hear that story before we dive into all this financial and real estate literacy stuff. So tell us about your service.
I joined the military. I was commissioned as a naval officer in 2008 after I had a ROTC scholarship to University of San Diego, right out here in San Diego. I went there from 2004 to 2008, and then I served active duty from 2008 until 2015. I finished up my time there, did my 3 more years, got my GI Bill, got my VA loan, and then got a master's degree from USC, and then I rolled right into real estate so I could help other veterans.
So, Alanna, question. What is it that drew you to the military? What was it about the U.S. military that drew you in?
I was raised as a military brat myself, so I spent a lot of time moving around, and I really loved the camaraderie and meeting new people and kind of just making friends everywhere that I went. And then on top of that, I noticed that my father had really reaped some benefits. He had this VA loan. He never had student loans to deal with, and he really pushed me to kind of look forward and say, hey, you can graduate and go do what your friends do, or you can go make a difference in the country. And so I decided that would be better for me.
Now, you're an interesting story because you bought your first home in 2011 as an active duty naval officer. Then you opted to rent out one of the rooms on Airbnb, which you've been on Airbnb, their website, you won a commercial drawing. I mean,
hundreds of thousands of views on Airbnb.
Well, and I can see why. I understand, why. She's got a great story. But tell us a little bit about that. You literally paid your way to getting a master's degree using an Airbnb rental from one of your rooms.
I did.
So tell us about that.
So I had a roommate, like most people do when you're single and you're young, and I think I was 26 when I bought my first property. Using that VA loan, I never would have been able to do it otherwise, but I had roommates, and roommates, they can get really, really quite an imposition on your personal life and your space, and all their stuff's everywhere, their boyfriends everywhere, it's exhausting. So finally someone said to me, have you ever considered Airbnb? And I said, that's so weird, why would I want people in my house? And then they told me how much money I could make. And I said, okay, I'll give it a shot. And so I ended up making, I was averaging $2,600 a month for my second bedroom, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. Wow. And I was doing things like charging a minimum fee per night, extra nights for extra guests, et cetera. And it ended up being supplementary income for me to be able to transition out of the military and get my master's.
So quick timeout. Just in case you're wondering what Airbnb is. Airbnb is like a hotel, but it's a virtual hotel system.
The number one hotel system in the United States that doesn't own a hotel.
Owns no hotels.
It's like Uber being number one for taxis without a car.
It's the Uber of hotels. It puts people in places. You can either do a whole house, or in Alanna's case, you can actually do one room, so a one-room rental. So
what I love about the story real quick here is that you bought your house at 26 years old, which is a daunting thing when you think as a 26-year-old buying a house, but the way that she was able to do that was through VA financing. So you did the no money down thing. Not a bad gig.
Not at all.
Yeah, so that's one thing I think the government really gets right, is you don't have to put any money down if you've served in the military.
Certainly, and I mean, think about 26 years old buying your first home in a city like San Diego, and there's a lot of cities that the military is stationed in where price points are high, very high. I mean, Washington, D.C., there's another high price point. San Diego, because you had a government program, VA, FHA, you were able to purchase your first home, get it immediately, rent it out, or not immediately, but pretty quickly rent it out. As far as income, you said per month. What was it bringing in?
$2,600 on and off month.
How are you helping people do this now? Because isn't this something that you've gone deep in? And I'd love to give some advice to others.
So $2,600 a month in income from renting out a bedroom.
Right.
Okay. So
how pays your mortgage?
My mortgage was $2,345 initially. I had foolishly, so I didn't have to. I just put my closing costs down because my realtor actually was wonderful, but she wasn't educated on veterans or VA, and so I actually used an FHA loan foolishly because nobody knew better. And so when I refinanced into a VA loan, my payments dropped immediately. I didn't have to pay private mortgage insurance. I was already making a profit on my mortgage using Airbnb. My mortgage was about $2,345. When I dropped to a VA loan, it went down to $1,800. So I was making a solid profit on my mortgage month after month.
So Alanna, if you were to go back and talk to yourself 5 years ago, what advice would you give to yourself, the veterans we have listening, even the non-veterans, active duty members? What advice would you give to them now sitting where you are?
This one's really easy. I wish I could go back in time and help myself. The first thing would be, I took a personal recommendation on a realtor as opposed to finding one that really knew my needs. And this was just a family friend, somebody who was really nice, but just didn't know anything about veterans or the VA and really
Sure.
missed an opportunity for me. Over 5 years, I paid $15,000 in private mortgage insurance. That's money that doesn't go toward equity toward my home, doesn't go toward tax write-offs because of my mortgage interest, nothing. And if I had worked with a realtor who knew better and knew about veterans and the VA loan, I could have saved myself that money throughout the entire process. So find an expert with your opportunities like the VA loan. And then the other thing is I would have bought a multi-unit. I bought into a condo complex. It was beautiful. It's very safe, gated, great for when I was on deployment. But now I know as a VA buyer, I can buy a multi-unit. I can buy a duplex or a triplex and have that same passive income all over again, not just from one bedroom, but from other units.
Love it. Well, you're out of the hot seat. Great stuff. Thank you for empowering us with some advice today. If you've served in the military, you want to get more advice, connect with her online. Alanna, thank you so much. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
More Operation American Dream coming up next.